Well, folks, I have come to the conclusion that I'm not 100% pleased with this layout. This layout kind of Frankenstein. It started out, it was just a dog bone loop. This is the upper loop, and then the other fold of the dog bone is on the lower portion. And then it went around, went from low this way, and then I had the siding here. And then my wife bought the post-war Santa Fe set with the 2500 series passion coaches, and they would not work on the original portion of the layout. So then I built this upper loop with a larger radius so that I could at least run that set. And it just kind of created some scenery obstacles. Obviously, this track is high. You can't see any of this back here anymore, really. And then I put this passing siding in before I started on this upper loop thing. And I don't know. It's just not going where I think it needs to go. So I think I'm going to tear out a portion of it. I'm going to rework I'm replacing all the 031s. All the 031 turnouts are coming out. They're too tight radius, even though all I run is post-war steam. I mean, I understand this stuff was all built at the same time, but these locomotives, this Berkshire, and then of course I have a Northern, which really isn't a post-war locomotive. I just modified it, but they do not like going through those turnouts at all. The front trucks, the pilot trucks derail, and I have cleaned these and set them and everything, and I've done all the stuff on every YouTube clip I've ever watched, and the pilot trucks are derailing. Not 100%, but just enough to annoy me where I got to get up and go to a different section of the layout and put it back on the track and all that mess. And then I lost a steamer in the mountain yesterday, and I had to use this pole to push it out, which is like, okay, that's kind of a problem. So this mountain's actually too big. But I'm going to rework the upper loop so that it has a larger radius to it. And the lower loop's going to have a larger radius. And then this loop you can't see behind the buildings is going to be a larger radius. And the 031s will all get replaced. This passing siding is going to get removed. I'm going to keep the upper loop to a point. I'm going to raise the upper loop dog bone so that I can tie it in with the Y and a track back there so that you can go from this upper loop to the dog bone or back. I think it'll make the operation more interesting. All of this will stay. The service facility is going to stay. I'm fine with that. I think this big mountain is going to come out. I'm going to save all the castings and all the trees, of course, but the big mountain is coming out. I think the mine is probably going to go away completely, and I'm going to do something else. Or I'm going to make it an active mine as the facility instead of an abandoned one. I think I might be able to take this mountain out in the back here and put it back, because this stuff was done hydrocal pretty thick, so these are pretty solid. I can cut them out and put them back, or at least cut them. I don't know. I'm pretty good at obviously good at Frankensteining stuff, but yeah, slated for next year. This layout's going to get revamped so that it operates better with this new upper loop. And I just wasn't expecting the Santa Fe set, and I can't run it. It just sits in a house on a display shelf, and it's kind of disappointing. I'd really like to run it out here on this layout more than just around this loop, and these changes need to run. I mean, in the beginning, I didn't really have a plan, and I never really built an O-gauge layout before. I always have, I was a kid with the 4x8 tabletops in my bedroom. And I did build other HO layouts. One that was a 2-car garage. So I really had more knowledge about this. I didn't really have a toy train knowledge. I always had I had 2 Lionel sets, and I used to just set them up on loops around the Christmas tree. But then I was like, oh, I should, try my hand at building a model railroad using the O-gauge. And this was my first attempt at it, which I don't think it's not a complete and total failure. It's just I'm not 100% pleased with how it's gone, because in the beginning I sort of had a plan, but I didn't have a 100% concrete plan of how the track was going to work. nor where I was going to put the control panel and how to build the control panel and wiring certain elements. So, like, the track is all staying. I'm going to take the turnouts and replace them, and I'll probably, sell them on eBay. I'm going to keep the tubular. I'm going to get more tubular of a different radius. This mountain's going to the trash. It's out of here. But all my bridges, I'm going to keep. All my buildings, I'm going to keep. My tunnel entrances are still, they're solid. These bridges are staying. I'm going to save all that. Backdrop obviously is staying. A lot of it's going to be saved. It's just mostly this 042 track is coming out and we're replaced with 054. I know that you guys out there have lots of space and you're doing 072. Well, I'm not running big boys and challengers. Probably never will because they're out of my price range. I'm sorry, I'm just not going to pay, that kind of money for what I paid for my first car. I mean, I'm sorry, it's just not for me. I'm more, and these work. They just don't really like the 031 turnouts. I understand for some reason back in the 50s, you ran them at 90 miles an hour and they'd go through there. It wasn't a problem, but I'm just not pleased with it. I guess because I really don't run it like a toy train, like the displays where you just full tilt, 20 watts with your ZW. And the things just, blew through the turnouts, no problem, but whatever. So, yeah, big changes for the future. And I think I'll be happier with it. I think it'll be more interesting to run it this way. And yeah, so those are the plans going forward with my O gauge layout out here in the garage. Hope everyone's had good holidays and everything. And of course we have Christmas holidays coming up. So I hope those all go well for everybody. And those are my plans for this crazy layout here.